Good morning, everybody. I'm Catherine Farrow and I'm a Quality Improvement Officer in Glasgow, and I work with Laura Kennedy from Glasgow Life to manage a team of family learning officers in the city. Now, when I say a team, we're talking 6 members of staff. So we work very differently, and I know that some of you are aware of our method of working, but we have 6 staff at the centre and over 200 establishments. So the way that our team is working is very strategic. We are not deploying those staff out to schools, but what we are doing is we're offering CPD, we're developing lots of packs, we are supporting programmes like Families Connect, where the team are trained up to train staff across the city. And what we're hoping to do is create the conditions in our schools for family learning and also for family support to thrive, because I think when you hear this presentation, it's very obvious that family support and family learning are dependent on each other. If you don't get the family support bit right, you won't get the family learning following from that. It's also a school. It's a school that doesn't have a lot of input from us. You know, the staff team will tell you that they're familiar with our team. They go along to things that we organise, but it's a school where it stands up without us, and that's what we want. We want to do ourselves out of a job because we want our schools to actually see this as such an important part of their work that the staff within embrace it and want to be upskilled to take it on. So that's the approach that hopefully you will hear. And another strength, when I spoke to the head teacher about this presentation, what came across very strongly was the tracking and really beginning to look, because it's PEF funding that's being used here to employ the 2 services that are in the school. So PEF is being used, but they have really got an eye on what is the impact of that through tracking families. And I know that the girls will give you a bit of a flavour of that. So I think it's a great example, not that I really want to draw it to Sheila's attention to be coming in for a look, but it's a school, because I asked the team who would we want to showcase at this event, and St Paul's came out overwhelmingly from the family learning officer working in the area, who is very familiar with the work and spoke so highly of it. So enough from me. I'm going to hand you over to Claire and Farzana, and I think that Claire Lowry, you're going to speak first. Principal teacher and family support workers from 2 different services. So pleasure to introduce you.
So good morning. It's really lovely to be here today, so thank you very much for the invitation. I'm delighted to be here with our 2 fabulous family support workers, Farzana and Claire. In St Paul's, we place great importance on working with our families. It's very much embedded as high priority within our school, within our plans. Families know that whatever their needs, they will be able to access the right support that will enable them to reach their full potential as individuals and as families. And this is due to the very rigorous system that we have in place, where Claire and Farzana will work alongside the management team, our class teachers, to identify and assess need and then respond to that need as far as possible. So today, Farzana is going to start off by talking to us about the role of the family support worker in St Paul's and the key responsibilities that entails. Farzana is also going to talk a little bit about the assessment and intervention tools that we use at St Paul's to support our families. Claire is going to talk a little bit more about the community aspect of our partnerships and the support groups that are currently up and running in our school. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Farzana.
Thanks, Claire. Hi, my name is Farzana and I'm the family support worker at St Paul's. So as a family support worker, we have key responsibilities that we do. We provide support to vulnerable families who have past and present trauma, who have isolation and emotional difficulties, also families who have social work involvement or at risk of social work referral. We have children who have challenging behaviour that has impacted on their school learning and attendance, and our support is person-centred, and we use Shinari indicators. We also use the UNCRC and organisational outcomes to support the families that we're providing. Oh, sorry, I've just got that can. Is that better? Yeah, right. Sorry about that. Do you want me to go over it again? Nope. Okay. Another key responsibility we have is that we assess early intervention, and we do that by completing a risk matrix, conducting an assessment, and providing intervention. So in the risk matrix, we assess the family under 4 different headings. Adversity, where we look at the circumstances that are challenging the family's relationship and their overall development. We look at resilience, which is their normal development in challenging conditions. We look at protective factor, which is factors that act as buffers to negative experience. And then we look at the vulnerability of the family, and those are factors that are challenging towards a healthy relationship. We then determine what are the concerns. Are the concerns quite low or are they high? And then we look at the low strengths and high strengths. And it's from this we then establish an assessment. And we have 3 stages that we go through the assessment process. Stage 1, we identify the family. We discuss that with our management, and that's the head teacher, the deputy, just to get a bit of background information about the family. We then conduct an initial assessment, and that consists of going to the class, doing observations, and assessing the child's needs. We build a positive relationship with the child, and that's always doing regular check-ins, talking to the child, finding out what their concerns are or what their worries are. We then carry out regular home visits and just to discuss with parents any concerns they have, and also what do they want from the school, because that's very important as well, and how to support them. So once we've established the assessment stage, we then look at what intervention would best meet the families. So we have 2 interventions that we do, the emotional support and practical support. In the emotional support, we do a tailored plan, and that looks at the child and the parents' needs, detailing what type of intervention that we're going to use. We liaise with the teacher and update families on the child's progress. We do family referrals to other agencies and also family learning groups in the school, and that could be like homework clubs, or it could be Families Connect or ESOL classes. We do direct intervention, and that consists of 1-to-1 home visits with the parents, and these are always done, regular check-ins, and we do a piece of work with them. So again, that could be triple P, or it could be emotional support that we're given. We also do 1-to-1 work with the children in the school, and again, that could be something, if they have poor attendance, we're trying to get them back into it. We also do practical support. So in the practical support, we work collaboratively with external organisations. We work with West Centre, CAMSTEAM, Social Work, Housing Association, other nurseries and primary schools. We do a team around the child meeting to discuss the progress and the outcomes with the parents, and that allows the parents to see targets which are reviewed, and if we had to add new targets, we can. We also do WAP meetings of the child with the teacher and the parents, and again, we're looking at how best to support this and make the learning good for the parent and the child. Other support we have is we have specialised parenting programmes. So we do the Solihull approach, which is a parenting programme. We do a talking therapy where parents come into the school. It's a safe place for them. They talk about their emotions, any worries they have, and we will listen to that. So there's different types. We can say how we're best going to support them. We do CPT, which is cognitive behaviour therapy, and that's looking at the negative thought that the parent might have, and the parent will go through a journey of series of exercises to help them get to a positive outcome. We do parent-child sessions. We support families in child protection procedures, and we do the triple P, which is a parenting programme. So how does that all impact? So with the risk matrix, doing that assessment and intervention, we find that more and more families are engaging in the family learning activities in the school. There's been less social work referrals and intervention. There's been an increase in the children's attendance and concentration, improvement in the parent-child relationship. There's been improvement in the child's challenging behaviour. Most children are becoming less and less challenging. The family is functioning well as a unit. And also there's been an improvement in both the parent and child's mental health. Okay. I'm going to pass you on to Claire Young, who is also the family support worker. And Claire's going to talk about the support groups that are available at St Paul's and also the community partnerships and how they have made an impact. Thanks, Claire.
Thanks, Rosanna. So yeah, I'm Claire Young, and I am going to go over a little bit about the different partnerships that we have and the different groups that we have been doing pre-pandemic, and some that have restarted in the last few months, and some that have continued over the piece as well. So how do we start by doing, what groups do we do, where do we go, where do we start? We start with the feedback from parents, what they're asking for. So at our parents' night, we had a questionnaire that the parents could fill in about various bits of the school, and one of the questions was, what groups would you like to see for parents and children? We have lots of links within the community, and so some of the groups that we run are based after discussions with community partners and saying, okay, we could run that group, or we could run that group in partnership. The support available from the Glasgow Improvement Challenge too, and from Glasgow Life to run particular groups and activities. And anything that we do, we're looking at what's worked well and how can we make it work at St Paul's. So one of the groups that we ran was Post 5 Play. This was in partnership with Glasgow Life, and this was children and parents coming in together. So children would come in, do some sessions with the play worker, and the parents would come in and join in part of the play session towards the end. So before any of our groups, we do an individual baseline assessment with the children where they talk about their confidence, motivation, and understanding. So whether it's around play or around literacy, around numeracy, around homework, and then at the end of the thing, we do it again where the children self-evaluate their confidence, understanding, and motivation. The Reading Mentors programme was in partnership with Strathclyde University, and the children who are part of that group really enjoyed it, and it's sort of taking the place of some of the work that we would expect parents to be doing with the children, but maybe there's not the situation at home that allows for that. So helping the children to improve their reading skills, ones who are sitting at primary 4 in that middle level, and moving them on through help and support with the Reading Mentors. And as you can see from Caitlin here, she was able to identify herself that she was able to increase the wide range of books that she could read. Moving on from that, we have invited parents in, and we look forward very much to having them back in August for our monthly storytelling, where the parents can come in and bring in books in their own language if they wish, or to use some of the books that we have within the school and sit and read with a group of children. And it's a very busy and noisy and lovely day, and the parents just all they're expected to do is to come and to read, and that's it. And then with Playing with Sounds, we take that a little bit further. Parents who want to come in and learn about reading together with their child and how to help their child's phonological awareness. And that programme has been a real success and continued, even when we couldn't have parents in, we continued having the children and being able to give the games home, and we still got really great feedback from the parents from that. Our ESOL classes, which are run in partnership with Clyde College. The parents came in from across the school, and indeed we had a partnership with the nursery as well. So some of the parents who had children at nursery who were coming to St Paul's were able to come and improve their English. And we have seen, somebody was talking about that lifelong learning. We have seen just yesterday, one of the parents said to me how she had an assessment for her next level of ESOL. So she's moved on to the higher education, further education with her English language. And we first met her when her child was at nursery and she came to this ESOL class. Families Connect is a programme that was mentioned, and it's a group where parents and children come in, and it's about developing that emotional language as well, and the support for parents to know how to help their children to play games and to develop confidence in being, as we all know, that first educator with their child. So parent there saying, I have poor confidence when it comes to help my child, this increased my confidence. Seasons for Growth is about the emotional support. So I have been trained in doing the Seasons for Growth with the children, and Fazana's just recently been trained in doing it with adults. And this is a group that runs within the school, but very much including the parents' views and input when the children selected for a group, and also in the celebration and evaluation at the end. And then for the parents, their Parent Nurture Support Group is there for parents to come in, like Fazana says, and it's a safe space to come and talk. As some of you will have come across, sometimes parents just find it really hard to come in and speak to the head teacher or the deputy head or a class teacher, and in this group, it's a family support worker that's there to speak to and develop just that support, peer support as well between the parents. Our transition groups, and I believe this was initially funded last year by YouthLink from Jill who was speaking earlier. So we have continued that this year as well. And last year we had Spiral and Movement Park, which are some local organisations that come in and support our children throughout the year, but we targeted the support with the P7s, who we knew were not very the high tariff ones, who the secondary school were already picking up in their transition programme, but the ones where we knew it was more confidence, maybe their parent hadn't been to secondary school in the UK, maybe they were just new into the school and didn't have many friends as well. So both the Primary 7 and the Primary 1 group were targeted groups. Primary 1 group was a new partnership with Village Storytelling, and they came in and we targeted children who didn't have an older sibling in the school, because we know that none of the parents were able to come into the building in August, so they've only just got into the playground, I think, after Christmas. So it was good to be able to invite those parents in at the end of this session in March, and that was the first time some of them had been in to be able to see what their children had been learning and the improvement in their confidence. In addition to that, Fazana and I are not term time based in terms of our time, so we are able to run holiday activities for the children and their families. So instead of running a holiday programme where parents leave their children with us, we say, come join us, whole family, youngest to oldest, husbands, grannies, whoever's coming, partners, come and join with us. And we've had a great time with the families over the last few years, and the parents are asking, what are we doing, when are we going, when's the holiday programme? And this can both link into some of the families that we work with one-to-one, but also is widened out to the whole school to be invited to come along. So the best thing was meeting other parents and children playing together. So I do actually have a whole A4 page of comments from the parents. They are so lovely. And actually, they're really good at giving us feedback that helps us plan the next year as well. Good at giving us feedback. Our question is always, what advice would you give us for the next time? Rather than what didn't go well, it was what advice you give us for the next time. They've always got some good suggestions for us. So who does St Paul's partner with? Well, primarily at this point, Bethany Christian Trust, who I work for, and Stepping Stones, who Fazana works for, and we are both PEV funded full-time to St Paul's. We have partnerships with other educational establishments, as Fazana mentioned, Social Work, Spiral, Lifelink, which are the counselling services, Movement Park, which is our local outdoor and indoor parkour and a climbing wall, and looks at range of movement, but also mental health, and lots of other third sector organisations who come to our monthly community partnership meetings. So I'm not going to read the list, but you can see there is a long list of partners that we have. So this is how I originally came into contact with the school. I was working in the community already, and the community partnership meetings meet once a month. So if you have a school that doesn't have enough money for 2 PEF-funded family support workers, then my key piece of advice would be start a community partnership meeting, or find the one that's already running in your community and get involved and make time for one of the school's senior management team to get along to that. So it's a vitally important part of the life of St Paul's is our community partnership meetings. And not everyone can come every month. And certainly during the pandemic, Zoom and Teams didn't always want to talk to each other, those kind of things. But since returning in person, we've included more people into our community partnership meetings. And it is a place where we can meet and talk about the issues that are in the community, the projects that are running, and what's gone well since the last time we met together, what's the next project that's happening across the community. Often, housing is one of the key issues that comes up. That's one of the issues that we're able to talk about. So Fazana and I can help with practical help and conversations with housing on a one-to-one basis, but also we can have those wider conversations about where are the housing issues for our families and how that affects our churn and other things within the school. And most recently, mental health has been one of the key things that's come up, not just the mental health of the children at our school. I'm very pleased to hear that the youth work might move down to P6 and P7. That would be fantastic for us, but also the mental health of the adults that surround the children. Obviously, we know that children at home over pandemic were surrounded by adults, many of whom were suffering from anxiety at that point, and we are trying to help and support our parents and the other adults in the children's life to get the access to the mental health services that we know are available, and or to see what are the gaps and how can we look at what can be available in our community. So I probably don't need to tell this room why have a community partnership meeting, why have organisations working together. This was taken from a slide actually where we had our cluster meeting at St Thomas Aquinas, and we spoke to teachers from across the schools, and it has been hugely effective. Also, St Paul's was already, before Fazana and I arrived, St Paul's was already the first point of contact for our families when they faced an issue. Somebody was threatened with eviction, and the first place they called was the school to speak to the deputy head. And so, because it is the first point of contact, having that network means that you can refer on to other agencies. You can say, did you know there's this person available? Did you know this group can happen here? Or to say, at the next community partnership meeting, we've had 5 parents say this is an issue, whether it's the roads or the park or other community issues. We've had a few parents saying this, can we take this forward? Also, there are quick solutions for families as they come into the school, rather than someone having to say, I'll call you back, we'll try and find out. It can be sort of not necessarily resolved that day, but taken forward. So what changes have we seen? Fazana's been with St Paul's for 5 years and myself 4.5, and we have seen a huge change. So the staff in the school have a much better idea of what's going on, not just with us as family support workers, but with the families of the children that are in their care. The children know our faces and they know the groups, and in fact they often come past as we're running a group and asking when they can get to come to the group, when is it their turn? And also we have seen that increase in attendance and increase in confidence of the children who have been long-term working with the family support work that we do and the family learning groups. The families have been more connected to each other. There are friendships from that ESOL class that are ongoing 4 or 5 years later. There are friendships in the nurture group. That peer support is available. And also, families know that if they are apprehensive about getting in touch with the head teacher, although his door is always open, they know they can catch myself or Fazana in the playgrounds. They can speak to us, and the community know what's going on, and they also know what each other are doing. Two youth work activities within the community know what they're doing. So, thank you for listening to all that I've had to say. It's a lot to take in, I'm sure. And as you can hear, there's a lot that is impacting our children and their families as learners, and also us as a community. There are challenges, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely worth the work. It's worth it, putting the time and effort into building up those links with the community.
Just going to say that we also have on the slide here our head teacher, Mr. James Kerr, his email address and our telephone number, because we would be delighted to talk to anyone at greater length about any aspects of today's presentation. So please do contact if you would like to do so. Thank you so much. Thank you.